Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another live stream Own Your Judaism conversation. I am excited and honored to welcome my guest today, Aaron Blade. Aaron was born in October of 1988 and is originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He joined the military at 17 years old and has been out of military service for over 10 years. While he was in the military, he was a military cop before finding his current career selling homes for a living. He also loves to play piano, work out, and watch documentaries. And he strives, his goals for the future are to be a husband and to continue to strengthen his knowledge in Torah. Aaron also notes that he strives to be the best version of himself every single day and really just to put a smile on other people's faces. And I have known Aaron for a few years, about 3 years now. So if I could add a personal note, if your goal is to put a smile on people's faces every single day, you have already exceeded that goal for 10 lifetimes, right? Anytime you walk into a room, the smile everyone is seeing right now that you have on your face, you walk in, and as soon as everyone sees you, they just smile. They can be in the happiest mood. They can be in the worst mood. They can be thrilled to see you. I can't imagine anyone's ever annoyed to see you, but even if they are, they're still going to break out and smile just because of who you are and how you are. One additional note, I've known Aaron through my work as the rabbi of a synagogue in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I also live in Milwaukee. Aaron's from Milwaukee. And I'm the halftime rabbi of Congregation Knesset Israel in Green Bay. And Aaron reached out to me about 3 years ago. And he's since been an involved participant and member and learner in our community. And Aaron is completing his conversion process as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about why in particular I am so excited to have you on. But if for no other reason than I just get to smile being with you and looking at you, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here and be on your show and be able to talk about my story and my experiences.
Thanks. How are you doing today? Before we get into everything, how's your day going so far?
I am great. I am living a dream and dreaming to live. So I am on cloud nine. I'm pretty awesome.
I love it. You know, I hear a lot of people say I'm living the dream, but I also like the dreaming to live. Is that an Aaronism?
Yeah. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
my stamp on it, my trademark on it. I think I'm gonna own that one.
Awesome. All right, everybody, you heard it here first. Anyone who ever uses that phrase owes Aaron a nickel from now on. All right, thanks so much for joining. Tell me a little bit about your Jewish journey and your Jewish path. You weren't born and raised as a Jew.
I was not. My mother was Christian. My father labeled himself as an agnostic. I pretty much have always, from a youth, and then some people loved it, some people hated it. I've always been a thinker. Even in college, I minored in philosophy. I always wanted to know why. The question why. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? Why do we do this? Why? Sometimes it will bug people. Sometimes, people were interested. My Jewish life right now consists of trying my hardest to keep kashrut, read as much as I can in Torah, though I'm not. I'll be the first to tell you I'm not, fluent in Hebrew. I don't have all the mannerisms down, but I'm doing the best that I can and learning and trying to put information out there to try to help people understand and really connect with what is Judaism. My Jewish life is been a road. It's been full of ups and downs. It it's something that resonates with me and personally on a personal level, and it makes the most sense on a logical level. So, in thinking, when I first entered or got into Judaism when I actually joined the military at 17. So, for those of us that have, joined the military, that know about boot camp, you get about 50, 60 men in a dorm room or in a barracks, and you're pretty much tasked with getting along. When the drill sergeant isn't yelling at you, making you feel like crap. You know, you're pretty much tasked with getting along. So um, every Sunday, of course, the military wanted to appeal to everyone's faith. So every Sunday they would have churches open. I think Fridays were for those that believed in Islam and Judaism and Wiccan and Hinduism. They had all these different faiths, and everyone would just go to their respective faiths. Well, one weekend, we all sat around and we discussed our different faiths. There's no internet, there's no TV, so all we had to do was annoy each other. Yeah. So, so we would sit there and we would discuss. And one day we discussed our different faiths, and I noticed a pattern instantly, and that pattern was everyone was pretty much following in their parents' footsteps. Why are you a Christian? I'm a Christian because my parents are Christian, and that's all I ever know. Why are you a Muslim? And then it goes on and on and on. Everybody is just following into the footsteps of their parents. And there was one particular guy that stands out, and he goes by the name of John. And he told me, he was a Muslim, and he was, and we would have good conversation. And he broke up with his girlfriend, and we had to mail our letters and everything. We were in boot camp. He broke up with his girlfriend because she wouldn't convert to Islam. And I said, why would you do that? And he said, Islam is very important to me, and what have you. I said, okay, that's interesting. It's pretty neat. Okay. So I asked him a question that so many of us as Jews has been asked too many times throughout our history. If someone pulled out a gun and held it to your head and said, convert to Christian or Buddhism, or I'm going to pull the trigger and you're going to be dead. And he looked at me and he said, I would let myself be killed. I said, but why are you doing it? Well, because my parents did it. There has to be a deeper meaning. I've always felt there has to be something deeper. Why are you doing this? And that's the big question. And at the base of that question is more so, why are you alive? You know what I mean? So the basis of that question is, why are you alive? Why are you here? What is your purpose? So what I've found is that life is about making choices. And when I say that, people assume that it's a choice between right and wrong, good and bad, good and evil. Not necessarily, not in every case. It's between good and better. You know what I mean? It's between having a temporary pleasure or having a long pleasure. And what sold me pretty much on Judaism is that I personally feel that in terms of the mitzvot, in terms of the way Jews live, it is the best way to have the pleasures in life. That's my personal belief. I meet people that, are atheists or from other faiths or what have you, and they always, I had one in particular come to me, and he said, Aaron, you're the biggest threat to my lifestyle. And I said, oh really? What video did you watch that? He said, I don't listen to your videos. I don't listen to you. Like, okay, wonderful fellow, charming guy. And he said, the thing is you're living this restrictive lifestyle in which you can't eat pork, bacon. You can't mix linen, things like that. You get, on Shabbat you have to do X, Y, and Z. You're living this restrictive lifestyle, and I'm living a carefree lifestyle. I can do whatever I want, and I do. he started naming off of, sins and things I won't repeat, but, he started, and I do. And I can't help but feel like you're having more fun in life than I am. And this is the part where I'm not a rabbi, and I just it kills you, doesn't it? But but I said exactly the reason that I am doing this is because it's enjoyable to me. I'm not. You know, this isn't something that some kind of burden that I want to pass off to my children. And this is a beautiful tradition. It's a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful heritage. And it's a privilege to sit at the Shabbos table. It's a privilege to I feel like God gave us instructions on how to have the greatest pleasure in life. That's why I chose Judaism. That's why I choose to be Jewish.
I love all of that. There's so much to unpack there. Something that triggered in me is I'm currently writing. I'm working on writing my first book, and the working title is Reclaiming Judaism. The initial title that I had years ago, and I was thinking about this, and I knew it would not be a good title because you don't want the title of a book to be in Hebrew. But what always jumped to me was "V'chai bahem," which is a quote from the Torah, from the Torah, and you shall live by them. Right? Like the idea of being Jewish is not about creating all these restrictions and limitations and making you, so straight line that all you do is follow rules all the time. But you're supposed to live by them, right? This is a guide on how to live, right? And you noted life should be fun. We should be able to enjoy ourselves in this world. Mm-hmm. But you also noted that life should be purposeful and meaningful, right? Yeah, it's not just hedonistic. It's not just how can you have the most fun, but creating fun within a sense of purpose. So I love all of that you said.
Definitely. Like I said, I've always been more of a thinker, more of a philosopher. We would sit and I asked when I was in college, I asked a gentleman, what is your goal, in life? What's your goal? And he said to me, a dentist. And I said, I don't think so. Is that it? He said, no, that's all I want to be is a dentist. That's it. And I said, okay, so on your tombstone is going to say, here lies a dentist. He filled many cavities. He learned how to, spot molars. And so he stopped me. Hey, stop. You got it all wrong. I said, no, this is the best part. Your tombstone is going to be a giant tooth, and it's going to be, he's like, no, what I meant was, this is the way I'm going to support my family, things like that. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. Most people, I read something and I think that it should be engraved, embroidered. Most people live the life that happens to them instead of the life that they want. Suddenly they end up someplace. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That's my motto. If you don't know where you're going, how do I get to McDonald's? Or how do I get to, this place? Or where are you going? I don't know. Well, okay, go that way. I don't know. Like, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So a lot of people just live the life that happens to them. And that's kind of, even in my previous videos, what I'm trying to curve and learn to plan and set goals for yourself through the end. You got to know, the end of the chapter. Some people want they graduate college, they get a good career, they get a wife or a husband, they have children, and then they have a midlife crisis because they didn't plan past that story. You achieved all that. What's next? Mm-hmm. And some people have found that they want to go around the board twice. Do a do-over so they get a new wife and a new set of kids. And some people just want to go. I'll go around it again one more time just for fun. But they don't plan to the end of what happens. What do you want to plan for your 50th wedding anniversary? What do you want it to say on your tombstone? You got to plan it out to the end. And so I was such a deep thinker that he rethought this gentleman I was talking to. I was like, and he started to say that, I'm going to write down my goals and reevaluate. Yeah, you know, you got to be able to tell the end of the story. You know what I mean? Most people just, I want to make a lot of money. I want to get, married and have children. And that's it.
Yeah.
There's, you can accomplish that when you're maybe 40s, 50s, but you still have, 30, 40, years. So what are you going to do after that? And most people don't think that far ahead, So I made a decision that I set goals for myself. And one of the things that I chose to do was I didn't want to wait until I was in my 50s, 60s to find God, find my religious identity. So, because you see so often in not just synagogues and churches and mosques, um, there's an age gap. There's the young children with their parents. Obviously, their parents are dragging them along. And then there's the, more adult, I would say individuals, 40 and above. But that 20 to 30 age range, a lot of people are, I'm going to do what I want to do and, what have you. And I wanted to do things different. I wanted to give God my best years and, really capture the Jewish essence while I'm young, so to speak.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. If it's okay, I'll share a couple of reflections based on things you said, but then I want to follow up on that last part, which is also in large part what gave me the idea to invite you to this conversation. When people say, when I meet people for the first time, when anyone meets anyone for the first time, one of the common questions is, what do you do? Right? And like your friend who said, I'm a dentist, right? The answer is almost always, we define ourselves by our profession. So I try to practice when someone says, what do you do? When they ask me, what do you do? I say, I try to practice gratitude every day. And like people are so confused. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like, that's what I do. They're like, what's your job? Well, that's a different question to me. Right? How do I earn a living is a different question from what do I do? And it sounds like that's the same kind of message that you were trying to impart to the person who said I'm a dentist, right? Because like the tombstone, I'm proud of being a rabbi. I'm proud of the work I've done, but my tombstone doesn't matter to me if my title is on there, right? Like there are things about me that to me are far more important. And in large part, I think I became a rabbi because of those other things that are more important to me.
Right.
So that was something that jumped out. And the other thing is the question of where are you going is such an important question, I think, not only in life, but it goes back to Judaism too. If we think of the story of Hagar, Hagar was Abraham and Sarah's maidservant. And initially in Genesis, Sarah, who initially she was named Sarai, but Sarah was unable to conceive. So she suggested that Abraham have a child with their maidservant Hagar, and that Sarah and Abraham would raise it as their own. This is surrogacy, right? This is surrogacy 3,500 years ago. And it came to be that Sarah would start to mistreat Hagar, right? I'm sure there were elements of jealousy or resentful. And at one point, Hagar flees from Sarah's presence, from Sarah's and Abraham's tent. And then an angel of God comes and speaks to Hagar, which is remarkable because Hagar's not even an Israelite, right?
Wow.
Right? The angel comes and says to Hagar, Hagar, from where are you coming and where are you going? And Hagar's response is, I am coming from my mistress's tent, from Sarah's tent. So the angel asks two questions, and Sarah only answers one. Where are you coming from? She has no idea where she's going. So your quote in life, what was it? I wrote it down. Say it again. Your quote.
Most people live the life that happens to them instead of the life that they want.
There you go. Right. Hagar didn't know where she was going. So you could have been Hagar's counselor 3,500 years ago, because that was her issue. It's like, I know I don't want to be there, but I don't know where I want to go. And it's such a powerful question, right? Always easier to know what you don't want than what you do want.
Right. I mean, I've come to learn personally that what what a lot of people struggle to understand is in this life, it's filled with pleasures. It's filled with many pleasures, but you cannot have it all. A lot of people try, but you cannot have it all. I equate it to um, a buffet. You have all the food there and everything. I've seen people plan it out like a military attack. I'm gonna have some over here. I'm gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna go right. Get you. They try to get in as much as they can, but all of it they can't. And life is about making choices and determining which pleasure you're going to indulge in and make sure that pleasure lasts. You know what I mean? Because one of the greatest pleasures that we have comes from God. That's why those pleasures that He gives us are eternal. It's an eternal pleasure. So a lot of people um, just need to know where they're going in life, and on along the way, once you find out where you're going, then you reap those benefits. But if you don't know where you're going, then you're just making the immediate next decision. You know, and then I think that it lands people in a state of depression. You have midlife crisis. You have people that have a ton of regrets. How many of us out there, have heard people say, if I knew then what I know now, and I
Mhm,
wish I could have did this differently.
mhm.
Start living the life and start planning your life out and living the life that you want now. Don't wait until you're elderly and be that person that, well, I could, shoulda, woulda. Be that person now, and that's what, as I said, why I want to be Jewish, and I know where I want to go, and it means a lot to me to be that now instead of, oh, I'm gonna go do this and do a couple sins there, a couple sins here, and then if there's time, I'm gonna if there's time, I'm gonna give back to my community, and it's like I said, life is about choices, and you really have to determine which pleasure you're going to indulge in. Someone who's devoted to their job, for example, their career, and given all their times of their career isn't going to necessarily be there for their family as much. You know what I mean? Some people, you can't be a charitable giving person in terms of money and then at the same time, have a huge savings account and be a hoarder of all your money. You got to figure out which choice, you want to make. So people are just making the immediate next decision. And I try to teach people to think long term, think until the end of the story.
So you mentioned a couple of times, living, having pleasure in life, and that God gives pleasures. I don't think I can't recall a time when I've heard about what God gives in the language of pleasure. Right? You
Mhm,
often hear about like commandments and laws and rules and restrictions and this.
mhm.
Tell me more if you don't mind. Like, how does this land with you? The idea that God gives us all these pleasures in life, and that our great pleasures in life come from God.
See, I think that personally, the pleasures that God gives, and this is just, my own personal opinion. Of course, I by no means speak for all of Judaism. This is just me talking. The pleasures that God gives are very simplistic. You wake up in the morning. That's a pleasure. You see a beautiful sunrise. That's a pleasure. You encounter people, good people, on a day-to-day basis. Even something as small as um, you go to your local store and someone wishes you, have a great day. To me that means something. That's a pleasure. I was blessed enough, or there are so many things in life that God has created that, to me, is our pleasures and delights of little things. It doesn't have to be him parting the Red Sea for us like he did. It doesn't have to be anything that major, but it's the little things that if we just stop and appreciate. If you see, um birds, the way that they flock around, just being able to see that it's God's creation. That is the pleasure. And we are blessed in order to be here to see that. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
So first of all, I'll tell you, you can't see comments on Facebook, but Stephanie Hanlon, who's the president of our synagogue of CCI, knows that she agrees with you on everything you're saying right now. So I want to put that out there. And probably without knowing it, Aaron, you've helped me answer a question, which is a hard question to answer that people ask me all the time. There's a teaching from the rabbis that a person should say 100 blessings every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first hear that, that's pretty intimidating. It's pretty daunting, like 100 blessings every single day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I usually break it down, and I'm going to start giving a different answer thanks to you. I usually break it down, and I say, well, if you do the morning prayers, you get 20 blessings. If you make a blessing before you eat food all the time, that's going to knock out another half dozen over the day. Blessings after you eat food, that's another 15. Before you know, you snap your fingers, you're already at 50, right? And then it's pretty easy to find other reasons to offer blessings. And I always jump to a pretty literal answer, right? How can I think of 100 blessings every day? I think I'm giving, it's not a bad answer because it's not between good and bad. I'm not giving the better answer. And I think your answer was much better. It's not about how many times can I say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam every single day, right? Praise are you, Lord, our God, ruler of the universe. It's about walking around and just appreciating all of the blessings that we have, right? Like you noted, a sunrise, a chirping bird, a person who greets you and says, have a nice day and thanks for shopping here, right? All of these little things which we tend to take for granted, these are the pleasures that you give us. These are the blessings. Exactly. And I love the idea that pleasure is a blessing.
Right. Exactly.
So I love that, Aaron.
Exactly. I never want to, and that's the big thing. I never want to take this life for granted. I never want to take anyone for granted. There are people that have such negative energy, right? They go to a store and the person, the cashier says, okay, thank you for shopping here. Have a great day. And then that person will say, hey, don't tell me what to do. If I want to have a bad day, I want to, there are certain people that, just have that negative energy. But that a lot of times we miss the simple things, the simple blessings, the simple pleasures. And I urge people to open up your eyes to everything. Open up your eyes to every. There's something beautiful in everything if you open your eyes to it.
I'm not going to add more. That was perfect. Deirdre, who's also a member of our congregation, adds in that like both of us, she finds that Judaism is so much about joy, and she's also appreciated how you've been putting all of this. So we will let your word stand on this. One of the reasons that I invited you to the conversation is because a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, actually already, you shared with me by email a video that you had put up. Was that about Purim? I think that's the first one you shared with me.
Yes.
Yeah, about the Jewish holiday of Purim. And Aaron, they are phenomenal, right? So for people who don't know yet, and I think this is on a YouTube channel that you have, right, Aaron?
It's on my personal Facebook. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna make that announcement actually next week. So if you're watching this, you heard it here first.
All right.
First, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and I, invite you all to watch it. And I'm just gonna go over the different holidays, the different ups and downs of being Jewish and being Black, things like that.
So yeah, you sent me this video a few weeks ago. And by the way, people, I presume that you can go search for Aaron on Facebook. You can watch his videos. If you want, you can just send me a private message. You can put something in the link, and either Aaron and I will get all that info to you. And I unfortunately spilled the beans about Aaron's upcoming YouTube video. So much for clergy confidentiality. Well,
it's fine.
But if anyone wants, when that comes up, let me know, and I will get you a link to that as well. But Aaron, you sent me this video about Purim. It was terrific. It was such a brilliant. You know what? It wove together quite a few things. One is kind of basic information. Two, some really wonderful trivia. And kind of subtle insights, but like you are so wont to do, you connected it so powerfully to who you are as a person and why it's important to you. So why did you start doing all these videos?
I did these videos because I obviously, I'm in the conversion process, and you know, unfortunately, the biggest hit that I've taken on my journey or on my conversion process has been COVID-19. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
because I can't go before you and the other and the Beit Din and go in the mikvah, things like that. Yeah, but I didn't want to stop learning. I didn't want to, you know, pause my conversion, even just because I can't physically go before you and things like that. Um, and more so because I wanted to get the knowledge out there. You know, even in Tanakh, it says the knowledge of God will cover the world in the messianic era. The knowledge of God will cover the world as the water covers the sea. I want to do my part, even if it's a little cup, even if I got a little cup of water in my hand, I want to, a cup of knowledge. I want to actually do my part. As Jews, we are commanded to be a light unto the nations. That's our job, by example, by that's our job, is to be a light unto the nations, and I want to be that. So to clear up any misconceptions, if I am teaching someone something, and try to narrow it down in layman's terms without a lot of Hebrew in it, because I barely know Hebrew, but it confuses the average person. Like, hold on, you had me there, and then you started going in a different language, or you said it too fast, things like that. I try to break it down in a way that everyone can understand why we do the things we do, why we celebrate the things we do, because this is history, and I've always been a history buff as well. Every Jewish holiday that we celebrate has to do with history. It has to do with something that took place, and we are appreciative and we never take it for granted. So I wanted to do videos, simply put, because I wanted to get the knowledge out there, and I wanted to um, continue my conversion, continue learning, and share with other people what I've learned. And one of the things, I've even explained to you, Rabbi, is, you learn something and you'll have a bunch of opinions of, hey, that's not right, or this is the way, there's the real way, or this is the real reason, and you're getting pulled from this way and that way, depending on what movement you're a part of, or what but the knowledge itself, I welcome it. I've always been an information junkie, and if I could put something out there and one or two people get a good message from it, and I've touched a lot of people, got a lot of feedback on them. If I could just do my part in terms of spreading the knowledge of God, and in terms of spreading the knowledge of the Jewish nation and what we go through, or what we've been through, I want to do it.
And I'll add on to that, right? You talk that hopefully you're able to spread the knowledge, and one or two people can learn something new or understand something in the kind of layperson's term, instead of having all like the Jewish jargon. I love the videos too. I learn from them also. And even if I don't always learn a fact, because you're not trying to uncover the deepest level. You're trying to make sure any single person. I always learn, if nothing else, I come out and like, I feel great having watched that. I'm so much more excited for the holiday, right? And in some ways, given the fact that I have experienced Jewish holidays for my entire life, that I have learned about holidays, sometimes it all kind of gets cluttered up in there. And I can watch your video, I'm like, oh yeah, it's really just about this, right? Everything else is bonus. It's wonderful. It adds on. So I'll vouch as someone who comes in with some knowledge when I watch the videos. I learn something. I love it. I enjoy it, and it's even just a wonderful reminder for me of like, this is pretty much why we're doing it. You can add anything on as well, but don't lose sight of. It's to hold back to where you're going. This is where you're supposed to be going with each of the holidays, and don't lose sight of it. So I love them too. So it's a broader reach. It's not just for people who are hearing about things for the first or second time, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I hope it's okay if we pivot conversations. You and I talked about this before, and you've mentioned it as well, that you've mentioned that your experience so far as a Black prospective Jew by choice at the synagogue in Green Bay has really been wonderful and positive.
Yeah.
And I certainly know that every person's experience is going to be different. And just like I cannot speak for all rabbis and you can't speak for all Jews, I know that you can't speak for all Black people. But if you're comfortable talking about your experience as a Black man who has been learning about Judaism, who's been living a Jewish life, who is we're just waiting for a little bit more COVID freedom to finish the conversion process, right? But if you're comfortable talking about your experience as a Black man entering the Jewish world, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So, of course, when I picked this journey, when I picked Judaism, as a Black man coming into it, everyone has the ideal Jewish look. Pale skin, curly sideburns, top hat.
I don't have that look.
Yeah. But the Western, the Western countries, that's how a lot of individuals perceive Jews to look, so to speak.
Right.
And it's funny that I actually researched it, and as I said, I'm an information junkie, but I actually researched it and found that if you actually go to Israel, 60 to 70% of the Jews are actually people of color. They're actually people of color in Israel. So being Black, I didn't know what to expect. I went into I'm hit from both sides, so to speak, because I'm a convert and I'm Black. So going into the Jewish faith as a Black man, I will tell you is hard. And the reason is because not because of the Jews themselves, or there has been some that well, you have to be born into this to be considered Jewish. There are some that even you said it on the one day at one of our classes. I attended one of your classes. Even if I convert you, there's certain, if you, I believe you said if you go to Orthodox or if you go to certain synagogues or certain rabbis, still won't accept you as being Jewish. And some maintain that. And then, but more so, I would say I get it from my own family and friends. This is a touchy subject. Just let me
take your time.
So people fear what they don't understand. You know what I mean? And you have people that, when you make the decision for your life, it's funny how people judge you for it. I've had friends walk out on me. I've had, potential mates walk out on me. I haven't spoke to certain family members in years over it, because, I chose this faith, this religion. Oh, you gotta accept Jesus, or you gotta accept Muhammad, or and I'm happy that you've chosen that path. I never want to impose my beliefs on anyone else, but that's not for me. And some people will disown you. Some people will cast you off as he's just out there. He's crazy. He's going through what have you. But one of the things, and people are starting to come around there. I still have support and love for what I'm doing, but for the ones that has disowned me or turned their backs on me because of this, it's hard. It's hard because you grew up with these individuals. You know what I mean? And you make a decision for your life. For me, it was the fact that it's a beautiful culture, heritage, and everything just is so beautiful to me. I want to be a part of it. Even if you don't convert me, or you don't you know, you choose not to, what have you. I'm just gonna go to another rabbi. I'm just gonna, you know, this is something, you know, that I really feel like this is where I belong. And as a black man, you know, you'll get the looks, you'll get the stares, but ultimately, once I actually tell my story, similar to, you know, how I'm doing now, people resonate to it. They understand. Um, I truly hope that the ones uh, that have walked out on me will in turn see that, you know, I I'm still the same person that you grew up with. I've just evolved and chose something, you know, that benefits me, and it's beautiful, and it's actually helping me. It's, you know, it's one of the pleasures, as I said, that I find in life. And I had a question, and it was from um, my mother, actually, once I chose this path, and she explained that why would you why would you do this, you know, we're Christian, you know, now you're not going to be able to go to certain funerals because they're held in Christian, you know, churches, you know, and I don't subscribe to that faith, things like that. Why would you do this? You're alienating people, you're doing this, you're doing that. And one of the things that I told her, that actually made her respect what I'm doing, is I told her, Mom, I love you dearly. You are my mother. Um, and I don't fault anybody for the choice that they choose to make in terms of their belief system. But for me, the reason that I do this is because at the end of the day, I'd rather stand with God and have the world against me than to stand with the world and have God against me.
Mm.
Not in the sense that he's just gonna, you know, condemn me, or you know, what have you, but in the sense that I feel like he's put something inside of me to the point of, this is where I belong. And as long as I'm doing what I feel I need to do, as long as I'm where I feel he wants me to be in terms of learning and being a part of this and this culture, this heritage, as long as I'm doing that, I feel like he's proud of me. As long as I'm getting the message out there and trying to get people to understand, you know, I feel like I'm doing my job in that sense. You know, so one of the hardships is you lose people along the way. And being Jewish, you know, we've always been told that we're stubborn. You know, I think the Torah actually calls us a stubborn people. I think they call I'm Kashurov. I think it's a
Yep.
stiff necked people. Um,
Exactly.
you know, so being stubborn, it's in a lot of cases a bad thing, you know, but one of the things that I love about Judaism is we stubbornly held on to our Jewish identity. And once I explained that to my mother, she actually said, "Yeah, you definitely fit a Jew because you were stubborn, and it just like you know, I'd rather stand with God and have the world against me." And in saying that, um, I'm stubborn. I'm stubbornly Jewish. You know, I don't want to lose that identity. Um, it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I hope to pass on to my children as more of a, like I said, a pleasure, not a burden. You know, people are going to judge you regardless. You know, people are going to, you know, say things behind your back. They always do. But like I said, I've been in the military for 10 plus years. So you're not going to say anything that I haven't heard before. um, you know, but this is something that's enjoyable to me. And people are coming around to seeing that, okay, this is who you are. The right people will accept you, for who you are, as long as you're bettering yourself and choosing to, you know, evolve. And life is about growth. You're not supposed to stay the same, you know. And I hold nothing against, you know, if you want to believe in Christianity, you want to believe in Islam, if you want to believe in any other, you know, faith, you know, 100% support you in it, but this is something that works for me.
Betsy, who's also from our congregation, writes in, Aaron, you are such a you are a very brave man to stand for God, and I salute you on your journey into Judaism. Love your passion. So
Thank you so much.
and here's what I was thinking. You were kind of quipping, though not untruthfully, that if for some reason I choose not to be part of your conversion process, you go find a rabbi who will. On the one hand, it's a bit of a quip. On the other hand, we live in that world, right? Like, I don't go to a doctor. People tend to say, I'm not going to go to a doctor who tells me what I should do. I'm going to go to a doctor who tells me what I already think I should do. I'm going to go find a doctor. So go ahead and rabbi shop. I certainly appreciate that.
Definitely, it's not an insult. It's not. I'm not trying to offend or anything. Whoa. It's just something that's inside of me. I keep getting drawn to it, and I feel like it's where I'm supposed to be. So, and I don't think I have to worry about that. I'm sure, you convert me, and I'm more than willing to honor and a privilege, But just in saying that, what I meant was that I'm not going to let anyone stop me on this journey. Because as I've said, we're Jewish, we're a stubborn people. We held on to our, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Romans, the Christians, the Greeks. There were so many that tried to take away our Jewishness, our Jewish identity. And we held firm and said, no, we want to be Jewish. That's what we're going to be. And personally, honestly, I feel that Jews are the symbol of God in terms of immortality, meaning we're always small in number, but we're still here. As many people have tried to wipe us out through history, we are still here. You have all these civilizations that have rose up and tried to exterminate us, the Nazis, the whole World War II. They tried to pretty much take us off of the earth and wipe us all away, and yet we're still here. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the source of our immortality? How are we still here? How did we survive? Not only did we survive, but every civilization that rose up against us have fallen in some way, shape, or form. They've all failed. So what is the secret to our immortality? And to me, I feel like that is divine intervention. I feel like that's one of God's precious miracles, is that he, gifted us immortality on this earth. We're never going to go away. We're always going to be here.
Did you ever read Mark Twain's essay?
Yeah, I researched it and I read bits and pieces of it. I believe he said it. I believe he's the one that came up with what is the secret to our
immortality. It's an essay called "Concerning the Jews," which I think was originally published, I want to say, in 1899 in Harper's Magazine. It's you are explaining that so beautifully and so poignantly. So thank you for sharing. And the reason I was bringing up the rabbi shopping thing wasn't for the reason you were thinking, which is that you were saying that it's not that I am choosing. The way I look at it, it's not that I am choosing to officiate and participate in your conversion. It's I'm the one who actually feels honored and privileged that you are choosing to have me be the rabbi who is overseeing your conversion, because I have no doubt that anyone who gets to know you would be beating down the door to be part of the conversion process. So I'm actually the one who feels really honored and privileged that you're choosing to continue your Jewish education with me, and to also serve as my teacher too, right? The whole point of a learning partner is people teach each other. So I'm really the one who feels appreciative and honored and privileged that you are choosing me to be part of your conversion process.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anything else that's on your heart or mind that you want to share?
I mean, one of the, I believe, one of the things I'll add to this is, like I said, I urge people to plan their life, set goals for themselves, and make sure that you write the story to the end. Don't write it to the middle, like most people do. Write it to the end and indulge in, the pleasures of life. Don't take anything for granted. When you look at your children, when you look at, a flower blossoming or blooming in spring, look at that and just thank God for it. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. And decide, at the end of our life, how do we want to be remembered? That's the big question. How do we want to be remembered? When I die, I don't take, any of these degrees, these medals, ribbons. I don't take any of that with me. What I want is for people to remember me by, he taught people, he touched people, he, you know, stubbornly in some cases held firm to his ideals, his principles, his morals, his values. He held firm on that's how I want to be remembered. And the big question I pose to everyone is, how do you want to be remembered? Tomorrow isn't promised, so be that person so you can start living that life now. Decide now what you want to do, where you want to go, so that, at the end of your life or at the peak of it, you don't start wondering or questioning or having a bunch of regrets on, I should have did this if I knew now what I knew then, that sort of thing. Don't be that person. Live the way that you want to live now.
One of the things you just said in your final thoughts, which I appreciate, is not to take anything for granted. So, Aaron, I do not at all take for granted your time today. Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for being open and honest with things that are also deeply personal to you. I do not take any of those for granted. I'm deeply appreciative. And thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you all so much. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to tell my side of the story, Rabbi. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be on your show. And, I look forward to the conversion process, continuing it. And, again, this is just my personal beliefs. It doesn't, extend to all of Judaism. And it's just something that I truly believe, simply because why we were put here, why we are alive, I feel is because to indulge in pleasures. We really appreciate those pleasures because it's amazing.
All right. Thank you again, Aaron, and thank you everyone for watching. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.